On. We're doing this again. Round 2. Let's go. We're gonna talk about how to change your life today using a dozen golf balls, the differences between professionals and amateurs, and how you can set yourself up to swing more like a professional and separate yourself from your golfing buddies this year. Better timing, better tempo, a more square club face. Those are all things that are important to playing better golf. Let's get it rolling, let's get on the mat, let's talk about it, let's break it down and get you on the path to playing better golf. Let's get it rolling. I wanna talk about the differences between professionals and amateurs, timing and tempo, and how to keep your club face more square to your arc and your backswing. Basically, if we look at big problems, macro problems, what does the average amateur struggle with? What is the opposite of what the good players do on that side of the spectrum? This is kind of the starting of that. It's how we start the golf swing. It's how do we create good timing, good tempo. And let's define that a little bit, because I think a lot of people use the word timing and tempo and it's very confusing. It's never really defined. To me, what good timing, good tempo is it's all of these things turning together. My belly is turning with the butt of the club and my shoulders and my arms. So all of these things are turning back together. You can see what that looks like. So here's an example of what bad tempo would look like. See how the club started and then my body caught up? That is bad tempo and it creates a host of problems. Immediately our arms are out of sync with our body, and from there we're stuck playing catch up. We're stuck trying to time up something that is an extra moving part. The more moving parts you have in your golf swing, the more difficult this game is going to be. So we want to create a swing that's simple and a swing that's trustworthy and a swing that we understand. Because when you're out there playing golf, you don't have your golf coach with you. Yeah, I guess you could bring up YouTube, you could watch this, but that's really not what you should be doing. You should be making the decisions that are going to impact your golf game. And that's what we want to create. We want to create an educated system for you to make decisions. So let's talk about the problem. The problem I observe that most amateurs suffer with is they start their golf swing with their arms. It looks something like this. Their arms will start rolling back, the club face will get rolled open. We've created a few major problems there. Number one, the club face being open to the swing arc. Number two, the body being out of sync with the arms. And then we're stuck playing catch up, which in a lot of times leads to people throwing the club face, trying to make it square. In the very first video, we talked about how to move well. Well, we're kind of building on that. This is how to take the club away with a purpose and to have better timing, better tempo, and a club face that's more square. The problem that we observe most often is this: the forearms roll, the arms get out, the body's not engaged. And then the second half of the swing might look like this. That is super common. And my favorite drill to fix that is this right here. We get a dozen golf balls right here. These nice Callaway Chrome Softs, a dozen golf balls, or you can use like a 12 to 16 inch piece of 2x4 or something that just provides you a little bit of resistance on the ground. I like this, but if I was picking and choosing, the 2x4 might even be better because it provides a little more resistance. A dozen golf balls or a little chunk of 2x4 wood, 12 to 16 inches long, something like that. We're gonna get it on the ground. I'm gonna give you a couple checkpoints here and get it rolling. The idea here is we're gonna use that resistance to teach us to push it back using our body. Now what that should feel like is it should feel like our arms are pinched to our sides, and from that point, we're not allowed to swing our arms. Our body needs to rotate, and as our body rotates, our arms are following along. It's like, is the dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog? In this case, we want the dog wagging the tail. We don't want our body following the club, we want the club following our body. And that's what sets up the beginning stages of your golf swing, which is so important because we want a strong foundation so we can build on that. So what this looks like is our arms are pinched to our sides, our body's gonna rotate back, our hips can turn as much as they need to turn to allow our shoulders to open up, and it's gonna look something like this. Push it back. Now notice we haven't really talked about the club face yet, because if all is done well, the club face should be relatively square. And square is when that leading edge is matching my spine alignment. If we're to look at the club face here and straight up and down is 12 o'clock, and we tilt it to there to 1 o'clock, square is somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock. And it actually depends a little bit on your swing speed as well as your swing style and grip style, what square really is, but that gives you a really good starting point, and we can elaborate more on that. But we want body engaged, hips turned, lead shoulder down, club between 1 and 2 o'clock, and from that point, we're set up for success. From there, the club can swing to the top, The arms can swing freely. We've created good timing, we've created a good tempo, and now we have a chance to create a golf swing that has less manipulations in it. And I'm way into that. If you were to catalog 10 tour player swings side by side by side and just look at them, boom, 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 you would notice that in their takeaway, always their shoulders are turned. That club looks something like this. It could be between here and here. The lead shoulder is down, and the hips have turned as well. All of those things have moved together. So the difference, just to reiterate from this view, is amateurs roll back with their arms, tour players turn back with their body, and they don't manipulate the club face. One more just cue on the club face, and one of my favorite ways to think about it is when you take the club away, if you keep the club face pointed down at the golf ball, that's a good frame of reference. So the sweet spot would still be pointed down towards where the ball is. And then if you ever want to test it, because you need to be able to test these things yourself, you take that club, you bring it to where you think square is, and then you bring it forward without manipulating it. And if you don't manipulate it, you will see what is square. Now there's a deeper conversation about the club face for sure, but let's start here. Let's get you set up on the right path. Let's get you taking the club away the right way. So we're building this golf swing brick by brick by brick, and we're setting ourselves up for success later. Anyway, you all, this is a dozen golf balls, a takeaway drill. It's super successful. I found it to be one of the very best practices to get players to understand how they should move, how they should start their golf swing, and what their club face should look like. The best way to practice this is to actually get away from the golf ball and get some reps in away from the golf ball. Manageable doses, couple minutes at a time. Get away from the golf ball, do it in your living room, do it in your backyard, and pay attention to what you're feeling. And then when you get up to the golf course or wherever you're trying to play golf or practice golf, you want to replicate that feel as to what you've learned, how your new takeaway feels. And eventually the practice becomes muscle memory, and then we don't have to think about it. But remember that in the beginning stages of learning, you have to think your way through something to accomplish it. I would appreciate it so much if you'd subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more about golf stuff. If you have any burning questions, things that are left unanswered, or just things you haven't figured out with your golf game, drop them below in the comments. I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you, helping you with your golf games, and making 2022 the year that you beat your golfing buddies. Let's go.